The Florida Gators lost a lot to the transfer portal, but there is no reason to freak out.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free from the podcast and on YouTube. As always, I am Brandon Olsen, lifelong Florida Gators fan, and we're just going to take, a short bonus show today just to talk about some of the transfer portal, I'll say reactions, right? Because when you look at the transfer portal, and tomorrow we're going to talk more about this. Tomorrow we're going to have a little bit more in-depth of, as in tomorrow morning's like normal show, which by the way, we will also have an episode on New Year's Day. We every day. But tomorrow we'll take a little bit more to talk about how the losses for Florida aren't as bad as I think a lot of people think, but also how you genuinely replace that. Today, I just want to focus more on those losses and why they really aren't as bad as people think, because I can tell you this, I see the comments section all the time. A lot of people know, like I interact with a bunch of the comments that are in there. I have the insider program that people talk to, Discords. We have, just on Twitter, I see people talking about it and freaking out about a lot of the names. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't think that many of these are as bad as people think. Like, you've lost 7 starters, right? You lost quarterback DJ Lagway. You lost wide receiver Trey Wilson, Eugene Wilson III. You lost tight end Hayden Henson. You lost defensive lineman Makai Boireau. You lost edge rusher Jayden Woods. You lost star Sharif Denson. And you lost safety Jordan Castell, right? And just, looking through that list, it's like DJ Lagway had an awful 2025. And 2024, he's one of those players where I say he was really good for a freshman. Really good for a freshman does not mean just really good. Okay? And in 2024, DJ Lagway was really good for a freshman, but was not really good overall. You lost Trey Wilson, who that one, honestly, I'm a bit torn on how bothered to be by it. I'm not very bothered by it. But he's someone that 2023, when he was a freshman, incredible production, but it was all at or behind, really, the line of scrimmage. Right? He was basically a gadget. 2024, he was dealing with injury, but when he was healthy, he was again doing the gadget stuff. And 2025 didn't play much, had one really great game against Georgia, but didn't play much. And Trey Wilson's the guy where I think most people find it pretty clear that he's a talented player, at least a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. But he's also a mix of, well, he was poorly used for years and the best abilities availability, right? You have tight end Hayden Henson, who everybody knows how I feel about him. I think he's good. I still think he'll be a Sunday player. Like, I know that there's a lot of people in Gator Nation that disagree with that. I think a lot of that comes to just the nuance of the position. I still think he'll be a Sunday player. But even then, I'm not gonna cry over losing a blocking tight end. That's what Hayden is, right? And again, like, I love him. I think he'll have a role on Sundays. But it's tough to get really upset about losing a blocking tight end when your offense is probably going to, spread out a bit. Just really, really tough for me to freak out about something like that. Honestly, the defensive players, I think, are more warranted to freak out about, because on offense, the starters that you lost, again, DJ Lagway, who struggled immensely in 2025. Trey Wilson, who was unhealthy in 2024, didn't play much in 2025 before getting his season cut short with an injury. And then Hayden Hansen, not a premium position, right? And I'll tell you what, I'm definitely not freaking out about losing someone that doesn't play a premium position. That's just like there's a reason that they're premium positions. It's because they're more valuable. I'm not going to freak out about losing someone that plays the less valuable position, because I think for me the biggest difference between a bad to average to good tight end, there's really not that large of a gap. When you talk about the elite, then sure. But when you talk about bad to average to good, there's not that much of a gap. And so I think that's like in terms of replacement talent, replacement value, I think that's there, and there's not much reason to freak out about it. So just offensively, no one to freak out about. Defensively, you've got defensive tackle Makai Boireau, who I think is very good. I think he's taken a lot of steps, a lot of strides. But he's someone who the reports were, didn't feel valued by Florida, which to me generally means there is a significant gap in what he wanted to get paid, or what his camp wanted him to get paid, and what Florida was willing to pay. And I've said it a bunch of times at this point. I don't get upset about those. It sucks. I think he's a really good football player, but like I don't get upset about some of the financial disagreements that lead to portal changes. It's just not something that's going to impact me that much. On the edge, you lost Jayden Woods earlier yesterday. Yeah, you lost Jayden Woods yesterday, announced his intention to enter the transfer portal. That one sucks because it wasn't NIL. Again, there's people that like everybody's speculating, right? There's people that say it might have been a coaching fit, scheme fit. There's people that say it might have been that he wants to be closer to home. It could be any of those things. If you're the idiot that took whatever I said yesterday, where I openly said, hey, it could just be as simple as he wants to be closer to home in Kansas, which I said, I think verbatim, and you went, oh my God, you're telling these lies about the coaching staff. No, I'm not. You're just too stupid to comprehend. And that's okay. Stupid people need love too. But it's probably multiple reasons for Jayden Woods deciding to enter the transfer portal. And again, potentially going to Texas is, I think, what is publicly viewed as the favorite right now. Happens. That one sucks. Again, I've said with multiple players, they were good for a freshman, but they weren't good overall. I think Jayden Woods was good overall. I think he was really good for a freshman, but I think he was also just good overall as a football player. And it sucks to lose that. And so that one hurts. Makai Boireau, Jayden Woods, you don't want to lose guys in the trenches. Those hurt. Sharif Denson at nickel didn't have a very good year in 2025, right? He was good rushing the passer, good defending the run, but your defensive back and coverage was not good for him this year. And again, he's one of those players. And Jordan Castell as well, by the way, the other starter that also entered the transfer portal. Jordan Castell had a really bad 2025. And I do blame coaching for a lot of the secondary stuff. I especially blame it for Sharif Denson, because in 2024, he was not as bad as he was in 2025, right? And that is a large reason why I think he's going to wind up at Miami. He very publicly was tweeting about Will Harris, who of course was at Florida and then went to Miami. He was very public about liking him and wanting to play for him, and how he is an elite coach. And so expecting him to go to Miami at this point. But of the starters, there's really Makai Boireau and Jayden Woods that I go, oh, that hurts. The Makai Boireau one, I go, all right, that seems to be a money thing. And so I don't care about that. Like, again, I've said it before. When it comes to like losses about money, and it comes to just, we have this value, this large difference in how we value you to how you value you. That's football. That I'm an NFL guy as well. Like that's just football at that point when you lose guys like that. Business is business. It's strictly financial. It is what it is. The Jayden Woods one really hurts. Then you lost a bunch of rotational players, which we'll talk about the validity of the freak out for some of them when we get back with Locked On Gators. There's nothing like college basketball season, right? You get to tailgate, you get packed arenas. I mean, being right in the middle of all that energy when there's a big run going on. Like when it's a top 25 matchup and the home team is just going on a massive run. There doesn't even need to be a massive run, but just a 12-0 run over the course of 2.5 minutes. And it just feels like momentum is swinging heavily in your favor. The home crowd just goes nuts. It's beautiful being in that atmosphere. It's like almost nothing else. I will say football, better atmosphere, but basketball is it just feels wild, right? That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football experiences, college basketball experience, college basketball tickets in just a few taps. Take the guesswork out of buying college tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, let's go to LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel, making them even better every Friday night before the games tip off. FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. That is every Friday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is now where you have the FanDuel app just dropping boosts, bonuses, surprises, all for you there. It's beautiful. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie. Spend a Friday night or Friday evening just scrolling, right? Beautiful. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday. Every Friday. From 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a little basketball, a little action, whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators also lost quite a few rotational and depth players to the transfer portal, right? I think when we talk about the guys that actually played that left, wide receiver Aidan Mizell is one of them. Linebacker Pup Howard was one of them, but even then in 2025, he didn't play much, right? It's pretty much, hey, Aidan Mizell. That's it. When we talk about the actual contributors that left, I'll read through the whole list, and I'll count it on my hand for everybody to see, to know how many actual contributors left. This is not including the starters, of course. But it's wide receiver Moise Tonkara, DB Josiah Davis, running back KD Daniels, DB Teddy Foster, wide receiver Aidan Mizell, offensive lineman Marcus Maskell, wide receiver Tank Hawkins, linebacker Pup Howard, corner Jamroc Grimsley, offensive lineman Enoch Lagway, offensive lineman Devin Manuel, wide receiver Nate Montgomery, offensive lineman Noel Portniagan, running back Chad Gasper. We're still at the one, Aidan Mizell, and even then, wasn't a significant contributor. 400 yards in 3 years, not a significant contribution, right? Struggled to get on the field consistently. And some of these guys left because there was a difference in value, right? Some of these guys left because they said, hey, you know what? I think I'm actually worth more than this. Some of these guys left because they want to be closer to home. Some of these guys left because they want more playing time and they don't think it's available here. But also, just to be completely honest about two of the harsher realities that is college athletics right now, not just football, college athletics right now. And is part of pro athletics as well, which college has become very similar to, is that some of these guys just don't have a place in Gainesville. The new staff does not view them as someone that they have a plan for. And also, frankly, on the other point, some of these guys never should have been here. right? Plain and simple. And I think you can know that by the guys that have been here for a couple of years and never really sniffed the field, right? Offensive lineman Devin Manuel was a name that I was not a fan of when he came over. Um, was at Arkansas, got banged up, lost the starting job while he was injured, and when he came back, he didn't get the starting job back at all. And to me, that's a big red flag because I think if you're a bona fide starter, you get hurt, you come back, you're going to get that playing time back, or at least some playing time back. And Devin Manuel never got it. That was a major concern, right? Major red flag. Teddy Foster is a player that a lot of people thought shouldn't have been at Florida. I said I would gladly take him just for the size and athletic traits and just, if you could develop him, you could develop him. Great. Chad Gasper is a running back that a lot of people, frankly, did not want to take in the class. But he came over. He was, he had been banged up. He was a productive receiver that played slot and running back and moved around a lot. Again, I gladly took him, but a lot of people didn't want to. Offensive lineman Enoch Wangoi and offensive lineman Noah Portniagan. A lot of people didn't want the European transplants to come in. There were a lot of guys that, frankly, probably weren't going to ever see playing time here, especially with a new staff that wasn't the staff that recruited them. It's tough to get broken up about that, right? There's players like Moise Tunkara who you can look at and say, he's got great size, solid athletic traits. High school film looked really good, right? But, there's a reason that Florida was, I think, the only SEC school that ever seriously pursued him, right? He was looked at as Arizona before. He was committed to Arizona before. So there was that. Pup Howard, came over from South Carolina, had a solid 2024, got banged up in 2024, and was never the same in 2025 and never really got onto the field the same in 2025. There's a lot of these instances where you kind of look at it and you go, the quantity of players entering the transfer portal, it's a lot, frankly. But very few of these players are players to get upset about. And I'm not trying to say that to say, oh, everybody that leaves, don't care. There's players that are leaving, and I do wish we're here. But a lot of them, they've either not shown anything consistently or they've consistently not been able to get onto the field. And I'm sorry if you can't crack a roster if you can't crack a rotation on a 4-8 roster, it's really tough for me to be broken up about you not being here. And so I think that, again, the way that I've taken this approach with a lot of players is if a player with that production, right? I think Aidan Mizell is like 400 yards in 3 years and like 3 touchdowns. If that player was coming into your school, would you be excited to have that coming to you from the transfer portal? Or would you say, this isn't a guy that's a significant contributor here? And if your answer is this isn't a guy that's a significant contributor here, then I'm not going to be upset about losing that kind of player. I think that there's some players who you can say, hey, he was young and promising, and that sucks that he's gone. Like Jamroc Grimsley was a guy that, if he was healthy, would probably still be here. Like if he was fully healthy his whole time here, would probably still be here, but he wasn't, and so he isn't. So it's tough for me to get broken up about stuff like that. I think there are quality players that left, and I'm not saying that all the players that left aren't quality, okay? I want to make that clear. There's quality players that left. Aidan Mizell, when he's healthy, is quality. Pup Howard, when he's healthy, is quality. Jamroc Grimsley, when he's healthy, is quality. Nate Montgomery, ton of promise. I would love to have that on the roster still, right? Moise Tunkara, ton of promise. I would love to have that on the roster still. But there also comes a point where you have to say, is that replaceable? And your promise, your potential, a lot of it's replaceable. Because just because you have potential does not mean you're going to reach that potential. So a lot of that potential, a lot of that promise is easily replaceable. And we'll talk tomorrow about how to replace that and how Florida can replace that immediately. talk about all that tomorrow to start the show, by the way, as well. And then we'll talk about transfer portal needs. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all tomorrow.